In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome to part 3 of my Hajj, a step-by-step guide to Hajj and Umrah. My name is Saad from the Wahi Project, and I'm joined by Ismail Davids from Amid Inspirations. And we're honored to continue our journey with you exploring Hajj and Umrah. So far, we've covered an introduction with basic definitions in part 1 and a step-by-step overview of Hajj in part 2. Now in this part 3, we'll discuss what you should do and how you should prepare before departing for Hajj. Hajj is usually a once-in-a-lifetime journey, so it's really important to prepare fully to get the most out of it. There's a lot you can do before you depart, so don't waste this time. Rather use it to get a head start. The remainder of this module is a collection of tips from our own first-hand experiences, so please use it as a guide. Listen, learn, and implement. So without further ado, let's dive in. Preparation for Hajj can be divided into 6 broad categories: spiritual preparation, physical preparation, study of the theory, including rituals, rites, and basics, which is actually what you're doing right now by watching this series, administrative preparation, financial preparation, and packing for the journey, which is the one that usually garners the most focus. So let's look at each of these in turn. Hajj at its heart is a spiritual journey and transformation. It's important to get into the right frame of mind both spiritually and mentally right from the very start. So here are a few things to think about. Understand the goal and what your aim is. For example, one of my main goals was Hajj Umrah, which means an accepted Hajj, and this is characterized by a Hajj performed with the intention of seeking Allah's pleasure only, a Hajj free of sin, i.e. conducted with full obedience to Allah, a Hajj performed in accordance to the Sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, a Hajj that is not followed by disobedience. Next, remain sincere in your intention. It is the intention that makes the difference in any act or deed, regardless of how much effort and resources are put into it. Check your intention at every step of the journey and surrender yourself and your heart to Allah. Start repenting for all your past sins now. Do not wait until the day of Arafah to make sincere tawbah. Also remember, do not go to Hajj with the intention of continuing any known sin when you return. Now this one is really difficult for many. But try to resolve outstanding differences and seek forgiveness from others, especially relatives and close family members. Fight your ego and make peace with everyone. Lastly, set realistic expectations. Hajj is a unique journey but with some challenges. Be patient and don't complain. Don't compare your group to other groups. Don't get into arguments and dispute, especially over fiqh opinions, etc. Do not get angry. Try to change munkar with wisdom and nice words if you can control yourself. Otherwise, keep silent. Limit shopping and avoid haggling with storekeepers over small amounts. Value the opportunity of having been chosen amongst so many to be the guest of Allah and strive to be a good guest. Be positive. Hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst. Have only one concern. Will Allah accept my Hajj? And focus on the ultimate prize of Hajj Mabrur, which is paradise.
In preparing for the spiritual part, I like to add a few comments. Often people forget that the Hajj and the forgiveness in coming back with all your sins forgiven are the things that are between you and Allah. But the things that are between you and the people, the others that you have harmed, the others that you've done wrong to, the others that you've owed money to, the others that you owe anything to, these needs to be resolved between you and that person. So people often ask, shall I go and greet or shall I ask for forgiveness before I leave? Simply stated, it is very important, especially in the bigger matters, where you owe people money or you owe people things, that you resolve these things before you go to Hajj, because there's no guarantee that you'll come back. because on the day of judgment, these things will still be outstanding between you and that person. So my brothers and sisters, as part of your spiritual planning, I would sincerely recommend that you try and resolve all of these matters before you depart on your journey. People also often ask, is it sunnah to visit people before you leave? Take this opportunity to go and visit people and greet them and ask them to pray for you to get safely to your journey. And then you will pray for them as well. And especially for those that you haven't seen in a long time or that you have differences with, or relatives you haven't spoken to in a long time. Make this an excuse to visit them and greet them and fix all of those issues that you've had in the past.
Though Hajj is a journey of the heart, it is also a test of physical strength and endurance. Your acts of ibadah and rituals can be quite taxing. In addition, the distances involved are no trivial matter. For example, these first set of distances are for the rituals of Tawaf and Sa'i. As you can see, you'll get quite a workout. This next illustration shows distances between the different places involved in Hajj. So if you decide to walk between either locations, you need to ensure you are fit and ready. So one of the first steps in your physical preparation is to get in shape. Build endurance weeks or even months before Hajj. If you lead a sedentary lifestyle, start light exercise now and build it up slowly. Regular walking or jogging is highly recommended, but avoid sports that involve a high risk of injury. Another tip, wearing any new shoes and slippers that you intend to take with you during your preparation. The last thing you want is to take a new pair of slippers and for them to tear up your feet on Hajj. The next step in your physical preparation is to boost your immunity. Get any required vaccinations. The visa process will also have a specific requirement, so check and get the shots early. Also remember to get proof of the shots for your application. Another way to help your immunity and improve your well-being is to improve your general diet, i.e. eat healthier. Also get a medical checkup if necessary.
I'm sure you're wondering about the physical and you think about Hajj and you think you'll be ready for Hajj. But just a reminder, think of it this way. If you don't walk much, even before Hajj, when you go to Makkah, Medina, when you go to the mosque 5 times a day, you'll walk at least 500 meters from your room into the masjid and then 500 meters back. So that's at least 1 kilometer per prayer. So you'll walk at least 5 kilometers every single day without doing anything else. So you can see there's a lot of walking. So it's important that you get yourself physically prepared.
Having just covered the physical category, we now move back to the mind. The next category in our preparation checklist is study. What study, you might ask? Actually, many people feel no study is required at all, as most groups will have a scholar to guide them. Please don't fall into this trap. Those scholars may be present. The only way you'll get the most out of Hajj is to learn as much as you can beforehand. The aim is not to follow someone else verbatim, but rather understand and have the knowledge to perform Hajj yourself. The first step in achieving this is to study the manasik of Hajj and Umrah, which you're already doing. In addition to this presentation, read the recommended textbook and also attend a Hajj seminar at your local masjid if you can. Next, other than the fiqh of Hajj and Umrah, learn how to perform Salatul Janazah, the funeral prayer. You might be asking why, but you'll be surprised that you'll pray Janazah almost after every Salah in Makkah and Medina. Following this, learn the rulings of Salah for the traveler and the methods of wudu in travel. Then, memorize some dua from Quran and authentic Sunnah. Lastly, learn the etiquette of visiting the graves, especially things to avoid. So this is a quick study plan for you. Feel free to adapt it to your needs, but remember to start early and stay focused. Happy studying.
So you ask, why do I need to study? As our brother said, it's important for you to know what you need to do. And if there's a scholar or a sheikh going with you, it is important that you understand the journey. In my first journey, in my first Hajj, I memorized many things, but I didn't understand why we were doing the things. And subsequently, I learned the most important thing about Hajj is to understand why you do certain things. And the Janazah Salah, especially for the sisters, very seldom or they do Janazah Salah in their home or in the country they live in. But during Hajj, everybody is in the masjid, and we encourage, including the sisters, to perform the Janazah Salah. I notice many brothers and sisters sit and make dhikr after Salah, and they miss out on praying the Janazah Salah. What is the reward for praying the Janazah Salah, you may ask? Well, my brothers and sisters, when you go to Medina, you will visit and see the size of mountain of Uhud. It's one of the most beautiful and big mountains in Medina. And this is where the battle of Uhud happened. But the Prophet ﷺ said, to pray the Janazah Salah, the reward is equal to the size of mountain of Uhud. So think about it. Every time you pray the Janazah, you get that reward. And you'll pray it at least 5 times a day. So at the end of the day, 5 mountains worth of reward. One other piece of advice in relation to learning how to wipe over the socks for traveling. If you live far from Makkah and your journey on the plane will be far, you will be performing salah on the aeroplane and you'll need to make wudu. As you can imagine, it will be very, very difficult to get your feet into the cubicle in the small toilets in the aeroplane. So it's important to learn how to wipe over your socks.
Now, some administrative preparation. First, ensure your passport is not expired, has a significant amount of validity remaining, which depending on various countries might be more than 6 months after your planned return date, so do double check, and has enough free pages. Now, a quick tip based on our experience. Place a unique identifying mark on your passport so that it's easily recognizable within a pile of passports. For example, a brightly colored piece of tape on the edge will do the trick. Next, ensure that you get all the required visas for your trip. This not only includes the Hajj or Umrah visa, which will be arranged by your travel agent, but also any transit visas that you may require en route to from Saudi Arabia. Visa requirements can be quite complex and cumbersome and may change from year to year, so check with the appropriate embassies directly and coordinate with your travel agent as required. The next big thing that everyone will have to contend with is the travel package that you take for Hajj. As you may know, you generally can't do Hajj independently and must go as part of a group tour. Because of this, there are many packages available, some good and some not so good. So take your time and do your research properly. Make sure the tour operator is approved by the Saudi Ministry of Hajj. Compare wisely and choose carefully. Don't take anything for granted. Ask lots of questions so you know exactly what you're paying for. To help you get started with this, we've put together some questions to assist you in your evaluation. These can be found on our website. Before finishing off, a few smaller points to consider. Ensure you have an updated and valid Islamic will. If you're traveling with your spouse, make sure you carry a copy of your original wedding certificate. Also, create and keep a list of important numbers with you. In addition to this, make photocopies of all your documents, including passports, visas, itineraries, etc., and carry one set with you and leave one set at home with family members who are staying behind.
Just a few points in relation to choosing a package. I'd like to suggest that you should compare apples for apples. So when you see the packages advertised, most people often just look at the price. So they look at the cheapest price and then they go for that package. Normally you need to look at what the cheap package or what any package actually provides. How many people per room? So you'll normally find that the cheapest package, there's about 4 to 5 people in a room. And the more expensive looking packages maybe only be 2 people in a room. So my recommendation, my brothers and sisters, if you are going with your spouse, then I highly recommend that you choose 2 in a room, which means for the entire trip, besides the Hajj days, you will be in the same room as your wife, like we would do on a holiday. Many people say, well, really, I don't need that because I'm going on this spiritual journey. Okay, think it from another way. If you get sick and you didn't share with your wife and your wife is in a room with 4 other sisters and you in the room with 4 other brothers, if she gets sick, you can't actually go into that room to help her or assist her, and vice versa. So this is just a simple example of how complicated it can get if you choose not to share with your spouse in a room. So choose carefully and try not to save money on the wrong things. Also in the visa section, though you might be in transit in some places, if you're in a particular country for a long time, you need to look at which visa is required even for transit.
Now let's look at some tips for preparing financially. First, make sure the wealth to be used for Hajj is from halal sources. Next, make sure you take enough money with you. Though your accommodation and meals will be generally provided by the tour package, it's useful to have spending money for incidental expenses such as buying gifts, souvenirs, sadaqah, etc. If you can, carry a well-known currency such as US dollars or British pounds, as these are accepted more readily and provide a better exchange rate. During your travels, keep a debit or credit card with you. Cards are accepted in many places now, and Saudi Arabia has an excellent network of ATMs if you need to withdraw money. Though being debt-free is not a precondition for performing Hajj, try and pay off any debt that you can. For any debt remaining, ensure that you make provisions for fulfilling its payments and requirements in your absence. Lastly, if you're the main provider in your family, ensure to leave enough for your family's sustenance during your absence.
A couple more points on financial. People often ask, should I pay for my wife's Hajj? The answer is, depends. It's recommended, but if your wife is not working and she doesn't have an income, then obviously you should pay for a Hajj. Can a wife pay for her husband's Hajj? Definitely. Recommended. So you can pay for your wife's Hajj and the wife can pay for the husband's Hajj. You can pay for your parents' Hajj, or your parents can give you money as a gift to go for Hajj. This is all allowable matters that is allowed for you to go on Hajj. Many sisters actually make their mahr, the marriage payment, to take them on Hajj. So my brothers, if this is one of the conditions for your marriage, then ensure you do it as soon as possible. One last question. If you owe someone money, can you go for Hajj? The answer is, it all depends on the condition of the loan. If the person said, or the agreement of the loan is that you will pay them back as soon as you have the money, then you have two options. One, you go to the person and say, look, I have the money right now, but I would like to go for Hajj. Do you mind if I go for Hajj and delay paying you till later? Or shall I pay you now? So if the person wants their money back now, then you basically have to give them the money and delay your Hajj.
We now come to the last category in our preparation checklist, and the one everyone's been waiting for: what to take, i.e. what to pack. Before we look at some specific recommendations, let's discuss some general guidelines. First, stay light. Extra items you don't need will just increase the weight you'll have to carry around. Take all necessary items like your prescription medication with you. Choose compact and light items. The camping section is a good place to look in. Do not take valuables if you can. You run the risk of losing them, and it just adds to your worries. Most items are available in Makkah, Medina, and Jeddah, and usually more affordable. The advantage is that you'll only buy things that you really need. When packing, keep all sharp objects like pocket knives and scissors in your luggage. Lastly, like the first item, pack light. Personally, I've always overpacked when I go for Hajj, so do your utmost to take as little as you can. Actually, when it comes to what to take, Allah the Almighty provides us guidance in the Quran. Let's take a moment and listen to verse 197 of Surah Baqarah.
الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج وما تفعلوا من خير يعلمه الله وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى واتقون يا أولي الألباب.
As we can see, Allah Almighty tells us the best provision for the trip is at-taqwa. So let's keep this foremost in our minds as we continue our preparation. So let's have a look at some specific items to pack. This list is by no means exhaustive, but will provide you a good start. First, clothes. For men, comfortable modest clothes, like the Middle Eastern thobe or Indo-Pak shalwar kameez are ideal. Ideally 2 to 3 outfits. Women wear their normal comfortable clothes. Avoid nylon clothing as it tends to be uncomfortable in hot weather. A warm jacket can also be useful, especially for Medina at Fajr time during the cold months. Remember, do not pack too many clothes. 2 to 3 everyday wear garments is a good start. If you need more, you can always purchase them in country. Next, the ihram towels. One set consists of 2 white pieces of unfitted cloth. Only men require this item as it's needed for them to enter into the state of ihram. My recommendation is to keep a minimum of 2 sets. The reason why is that during Hajj, the ihram will get dirty, and you're allowed to change your ihram towels whilst in the state of ihram. We'll talk more about this later in the course. Next, pack a travel belt. A low-profile, non-bulky, slim canvas type is the best. Not only will it allow you to keep your valuables with you, for example money, mobile phones, etc., but for men, it's also a great aid in holding up the bottom part of your ihram clothes. A comfortable worn-in pair of slippers are also essential, especially while you're in ihram. The type shown in this picture is accepted by the majority of schools of thought. Then, pack some sun protection aids, like sunglasses and umbrellas.
So in relation to some of the clothing you take, some of the most important ones you need to take more of from my years and years of experience, and I've also struggled to pack lightly, but here's are my suggestions. Underwear for men and ladies, because those are things that you change every single day, I hope. So take more underwear, like 4 or 5 pairs of underwear, so you don't have to wash that often. The ihram towels, depending if you're going to Medina first, I recommend you just not pack them from where you come from, and you can buy them there because you'll be going to Makkah after Medina, so you can buy the ihrams in Medina and less to pack on the way there. The slippers, if you're not fussed, you can buy the Crocs, the plastic shoes with the holes in. They are very, very comfortable, and they're very good for the bathrooms and toilets on the journey because you can actually use them and they dry very quickly. And umbrellas and sunglasses. I guess this is one of the few places you'll be using an umbrella, not for the water, but for the sun.
When it comes to luggage bags, keep them small, light, recognizable, and extremely mobile. Remember, you'll be one of the millions of pilgrims, so you'll need to be able to effectively account for and maneuver your own luggage. Try and keep some drawstring bags with you. These prove to be really useful to carry shoes and slippers and other items while inside the masjid in Mecca and Medina. Small drawstring pouches are also essential. These will be required for carrying your pebbles for stoning of the Jamarah. A small flashlight, especially in Mina and Muzdalifah, can prove to be very useful as well. Then try and pack any useful utility items such as an alarm clock, travel cutlery like a spork, and a set of travel sheets or light sleeping bag.
One of the best things in relation to the drawstring bags are those ones that you can actually put on your back with the bags you get when you buy new shoes. That you can actually put your shoes and slippers in there. Take a very small flat pair of slippers for the masjid because you'll be going down 5 times a day, and you just put it in there and put it on your back. It's easy to carry that way. In relation to traveling bags, try and buy those that has the 4 wheels that you can push without pulling. They're much easier to maneuver. And I guess these days with everybody's smartphone, in relation to flashlights, alarm clocks, they're all gathered into the one device. Take a spare device so that you can, just in case you lose or break your phone.
On the toiletry front, make sure you pack what you need. Also ensure you have some fragrance-free varieties, as these are all that is permissible whilst in ihram. Ensure that you bring all your prescription medications with you and the associated paperwork. It's also a good idea to keep some general medicines such as paracetamol, Imodium, etc. with you. If you don't worry, there are special pharmacies set up to serve pilgrims throughout the kingdom. Next, a pot of unscented petroleum jelly can be quite useful. For men, remember you won't have any underwear on while in ihram. If you're not used to this, chafing might become quite a painful issue. This is where the petroleum jelly can help. Keep a basic wound care kit with you. with some healing plasters and bandages to treat any small cuts or grazes. And then any miscellaneous items such as unscented wipes, hearing protection, traveling bathroom accessories might also be useful. Remember to pack your identity documents, passports, etc. Also any reference textbooks. A prayer mat will come in very handy. A small counter to count your circuits in Tawaf and Sa'i is a must. And last but not the least, a basic mobile phone. Ensure that it is a GSM band phone and is unlocked. Actually, the most important item I've left till last, patience. Please, please, please pack lots and lots of patience. You're definitely going to need it. This brings us to the end of part 3. Thanks for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed it and we look forward to seeing you in part 4. Remember to visit our websites, which may have additional resources accompanying this presentation. All praise is due to Allah, our Creator and Sustainer, Lord of the worlds.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك